When rescuers boarded the Mary Celeste, they found food untouched, sails still standing, her cargo nearly intact, but not a soul on board. No signs of struggle, no distress signal, no bodies. Just a fully functional ship, adrift and silent in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. So what happened to the crew? Mutiny, madness, or something no one has ever truly explained? Welcome to Uncharted Enigmas, where we dive into the world's most chilling unsolved mysteries. Today we set sail into one of the most enduring legends of the sea. A story whispered by sailors, studied by scholars, and still haunting minds more than a century later. This is the ghost ship, Mary Celeste. The Mary Celeste was a merchant brigantine built in Nova Scotia in 1861. She was 100 feet long and 282 tons. Originally named the Amazon, she changed hands and names several times before her final voyage. In November of 1872, under the command of Captain Benjamin Briggs, she set sail from New York Harbor, bound for Genoa, Italy. On board were Briggs' wife, Sarah, their 2-year-old daughter, Sophia, and 7 trusted crewmen, all experienced, all hand-picked by the captain himself. They carried over 1,700 barrels of denatured alcohol, a routine commercial delivery. Conditions were reported as stable, and nothing appeared out of the ordinary. But the Mary Celeste never arrived. On December 5, 1872, the British ship Dei Gratia spotted a vessel drifting erratically near the Azores Islands. The captain of the Dei Gratia, David Morehouse, immediately recognized the ship. It was the Mary Celeste. Strangely, she should have arrived in Italy days ago. Concerned, Morehouse sent a boarding party. What they found has mystified the world ever since. The ship was completely seaworthy. There was some water in the hull, but not enough to cause alarm. The sails were slightly damaged, but the rigging was mostly intact. In the galley, there were enough provisions to last 6 months. Personal belongings, navigation instruments, valuables. Everything was still there. Everything except the people. The ship's logbook was found and reviewed. The last entry was dated 10 days earlier, November 25th, placing the Mary Celeste near the Azores. There was no mention of trouble, no distress, just business as usual. Yet, the lifeboat was gone, and so were all 10 people on board. No bodies were ever recovered, no signs of violence, no evidence of pirates. Just an empty ship floating silently through the sea. So what happened? Let's explore the theories. The first and most obvious suspicion was mutiny or piracy, but that theory falls apart quickly. Nothing of value was missing. There was no blood, no signs of a fight. Captain Briggs had no history of conflict with his crew, and they were carefully selected for their reliability. If there was mutiny, why take the lifeboat and leave the cargo untouched? Another theory involves the cargo itself. The 1,700 barrels of industrial alcohol could have been leaking. Alcohol fumes, trapped in the hull, may have created a fear of explosion. Some believe that the crew, in a panic, temporarily evacuated to the lifeboat, intending to tether themselves to the ship and return once the danger passed. But perhaps the rope snapped. The sea claimed them, and the Mary Celeste sailed on alone. But there's a flaw in this theory. There was no sign of fire or damage. 9 barrels were found empty, yes, but there's no physical evidence of an explosion, not even soot or scorch marks. A third theory? Nature. A rogue wave, a sudden waterspout. Maybe the ship was hit by a freak phenomenon that washed someone overboard or created chaos and confusion. Perhaps the crew thought the ship was sinking and fled. But again, the Mary Celeste remained afloat. Why leave a perfectly functioning vessel for a tiny lifeboat in open ocean? Then, of course, there are the more outlandish ideas. Supernatural forces, a sea monster, alien abduction, ghostly intervention. Some even believe the Mary Celeste was cursed. After all, its earlier voyages were riddled with bad luck and odd events. Even Sir Arthur Conan Doyle wrote a fictionalized account in 1884, adding layers of horror and legend that blurred the line between fact and folklore. But fiction aside, no theory fully explains the mystery. Why would a seasoned captain abandon ship with no warning, no log entry, and no distress signal? Why were no bodies ever found? Not one. And how did a ship continue to sail so peacefully, so intact, with no one at the helm? More than 150 years have passed and still no clear answer has surfaced. Was it an unfortunate chain of events, a freak accident, or something deliberately covered up? The Mary Celeste remains, to this day, one of the most haunting maritime mysteries in recorded history, not just a ghost ship, but a question that refuses to be answered. So what do you think happened? Was it alcohol fumes, a deadly storm, foul play, or something no one's dared to imagine? Drop your theory in the comments, we read them all. And if you love diving into history's strangest stories, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Uncharted Enigmas, and tap the bell icon to never miss another mystery. Until next time, stay curious, and beware what drifts quietly beneath the waves.